Okay, I'm a little behind on these recent reads, but just a little bit. Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Crystal and this is Books Forever After, where I sit on the floor and we talk about everything and all things books. Today is a little overdue. This is my recent reads for, you know, from May. But it's okay. It's life happens, right? Okay, so now that I get all that away. Okay, let's talk about it. So bear with me. I am so trying to get my crap together, to be honest, and figuring out what works best for me and still kind of versus what's typically done in book 2, but we'll get there, or I will get there eventually. So yeah, it's been a year now on book 2 for myself, so I'm sure I'll have a video coming soon. I want to do of a new book, 1 year book anniversary tag, so keep a lookout onto that. However, with that said, these are the books that I read, 2 from April and the rest from May. We're doing a little different. I know I try to do like just 10 at a time, which to be honest, that's about what I read anyway, so we're going back to like a wrap-up kind of style. So here we go. I don't know how many I read. I'm not doing the numbers, but these are the books that I read specifically. So in this video, we have 12 books that I read in May, 2 DNF and 1 that I did count as, of those DNFs that I did counted as read, because I read majority of that. So yeah, so 2 from April there. So we have 14 books to talk about, so hopefully I can talk fast and my memory will not serve me. And I did write down some notes, but we'll see how this goes. And if I did write a review, you can go to my Goodreads link too as well if you want to get more details for that. So I will try to do the best that I can here. Alright, so the 2 books that that I read at the end of April are Spare by Prince Harry. This is not a romance, obviously. This is not a biography, autobiography, nonfiction from Prince Harry. I did rate this a 3-star. And I read this when I actually checked this out as an ebook on the Libby app, and I also kind of listened to the audiobook as well as for immersive reading, but also just to listen to on my commute into work. So there we go. Alright, so I thought it was fine. I feel weird kind of rating somebody's life in the book. But as to the experience of reading this, it was nice. I would just say with the audiobook, actually listening to Prince Harry be the narrator of his own life, it kind of makes sense and it's great. It was good. It wasn't what I was expecting. There was a lot of talk about his time in the army, and that was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of boring, to be honest. I'm sorry, it's kind of boring. There was kind of things there talked about with the media and things like that, so it seems not really like a tell-all, because he really didn't tell very much, and there were some things that were very stream of consciousness I don't think we needed to know. Specifically things that happened to his peen. That's all I have to say. Okay. So got a little too TMI and I didn't get TMI to where you kind of needed to be. So, but it was okay, folks. 3 stars. It's not really my place to really judge somebody's life, so there you go. So I couldn't really state anything like that, but it was kind of also nice because you don't really, with all the media that surrounds the royalty and spotlight like this, you don't actually hear from them because you don't actually hear them speak more than I think we have, like, for Prince Harry and his wife Meghan Markle, or what's her name? They always call her Meghan Markle, but her name's not Meghan Markle anymore, so I don't know. Anyway, I kind of feel like one of those things that irks me. They still identify her as other before her husband, but that's a whole another can of worms. But anyway, I am rambling here. But anyway, it was nice to hear about that, and there was a little bit of hints at the tension that they have, let's just say tension between him and his brother and his dad. So yeah, but yeah. Alright, moving on. Next I finally read, or am up to date now, is Glow by Raven Kennedy. I read this on KU. And I rated this a 5-star. As always, I love this series. This was book 4 in the Plated Prisoner series, and this is kind of like the Midas retelling fantasy romance. And Raven Kennedy, I love her writing, so I love her. And this is really like a slow build and a slow burn series as well. I want to say book 3 is really actually get spicy. But yeah, it's good. I love the world building is great. But yeah, those characters. And so I'm really interested on how this book ended. I think the next book is Gold, and I think that's going to be releasing here soon. I want to say September. I'm not sure. This series I desperately want to own physically. Eventually, I know I will. But it's one of those all-time fave books. I definitely want to own them eventually physically. And then I also, I am really looking forward to reading that 5th one. And I think it's only going to be 5 books, but it's left on a cliffhanger, and now I need to know what's going to happen. I don't want to say anything much more, because I don't want to do spoilers, but I am looking forward to the next one, and hopefully this time it doesn't take me a year to finish the next installment, because I think I read book 3 last year. So it's kind of funny how that happens, and that's why I hate doing that for a series. That's always why I usually wait till the series is almost, unless it's an author that I love already. That's usually why I wait till the series is like at least 1 or 2 are out, because I'll forget that I read that series or started that series, and that can be controversial in of itself and here in the book community, but that's all we got. And the next, these are the books that I read in May. The DNFs that I had was My Valiant Knight by Anna Howell. That was part of my TBR jar for my historical authors here. I draw a historical author, and I try to read pick 3 to 4 books from the author if I have, or just all the books that I have here if I can, to focus on reading on that as part of my other challenge of reading at least 50 historical romances for this year, 2023. With that said, I did have it physically read, and then my copy that I had, this is my neurodivergent brain, is the dust and smell. It was such an old copy that I literally was giving me a headache trying to open it, so I just couldn't. It's so dusty. I don't know if there's anybody's like that, and the feeling, I couldn't handle it, which this is the exact example why I don't blame people who are like, I don't like buy used books because it's been used, and I don't want that big gross feeling. So I kind of get it. In this instance, I get it, but it was like where the paper is really old and crumbly, and sorry, I can't do that. So okay. So fortunately I did read it. So I tried reading it. I did check it out, Libby, the ebook, at my Libby app as well. I still couldn't get into it. I just wasn't really in the mood for a Highland, and especially like a medieval Viking kind of style writing where it's very in that time period, which is old school and everything. It's great. It's just I just wasn't in the mood, and I definitely am. I unhauled the physical copy because I know I will not be able to physically read it, so I don't want to keep it. Over explaining, but that's where we're at. Next, I DNF'd at about 50%. This is the one I counted as read. Is 10. This is a fantasy romance kind of / horror. It's like a Wizard of Oz retelling. And this is by Candace Robinson and Amber Duell. I rated this a 1 star. That was like how much I hated this one. It was, and maybe because I read book 1 and not, I guess apparently there's like a prequel to book 1. Maybe that's what I was supposed to read. But the writing, it was slow and horrible and very, very dark, and more horror part of it more than it is actually on the plot and like the characters, like the internal struggles or things like that. I just couldn't do it anymore. So I know other people may have liked this series. I just did not like that one. Yeah. So this is where the Tin Man, it's Fae. It's also a retelling. It's more focused on Fae retelling on Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy is human. She comes to this world, like a portal kind of a thing. And this time she is an adult. The first time she came through, she was a child or whatever, and the standard story kind of happened or something like that. And she comes back, and then Tin comes back to get her as part of a job kind of a thing. He's supposed to bring her back alive to the lion, because they're gonna probably, you know, behead her or whatever. So I don't know, it was kind of, the premise was intriguing. However, the carrying out of that premise did not deliver, so it just didn't live up to the part that was really interesting. So that's all we'll say for that one. Next I read, oh yeah, this is May. Yeah, so May was my birthday month. And I was so excited. I even posted on my TBR for May is I was going to go to a book signing. Well, that book signing got canceled and then rescheduled for June. However, I was not able to attend the June one, so I was really bummed. I wanted to see Kennedy Ryan and Sarah Kate there specifically. I know Sarah Kate, you know, they canceled for her to go. She had a conflict. And then Kennedy Ryan was still going to go to the one in June. So, but the dates didn't work for me, so I'm kind of bummed. But one of these days, I will attend a book signing, I swear. I hope. But yeah. I'm still a little bitter about it, if you can't tell. But anywho, this was one of the books that I was reading to kind of, because this author was going to be there as well. Be Celeste, and I wanted to, you know, if I was going to buy a book by them, I want to make sure and have them sign it, that I, you know, liked them, kind of a thing. I don't know how to say it politely without, you know, wasting their time, kind of a thing as well. Anyway, this is a contemporary sports romance. It's Dare You to Hate Me. I think it's the first one in that series. I rated this a 3-star. I read this from KU. It's a football, friends to lovers, small town. So yeah, it was, I just was not a fan of the writing, and it was kind of, I don't know, it was focusing on the trauma a little bit, but not really dealing with it. I don't know, I think I remember it. It was just, there was no happiness, I want to say. It was a little down, and I don't think I liked the heroine. She didn't feel mature enough. And it's a new adult, so sometimes that's why I think for me, in contemporary romance, new adult doesn't really work for me. Fantasy usually does, but contemporary romance usually is because the characters don't seem like their age or something like that, so they're not, you know, emotionally developed, but that's how it is. Next, I read A Night to Surrender? Can't speak. A Night to Surrender by Tessa Dare. That was 4 stars. I checked that out from the library with the Libby app. I don't know if you're sensing a theme here. I read this as part of the Tessa Dare Summer Read Along, hosted by Rachel Reads and Sing, B, and Tiffany, and Samantha, and Ava, and I will link them all down below in this video just so if you wanted to check that out. So that was part of, I think that just ended now. I read up all the ones until the Wallflower Wager ones. I forget what it's called. It's not called that. There's a series, the Duke something series, I think. I can't remember. It's the last 3. It's the most recent of Tessa Dare's that we're still waiting for, like, the final one to be there. I know, like, the Wallflower Wager, I think, is one of the books. I've read all that. I've read all the books, let's just say. I didn't want to reread them. So I just really recently read them. So last year, I think. Yeah, 2 years ago. But still, it's too soon for me. Even though I love Tessa Dare, but I just did not. I wanted to read more books I haven't read yet. So, but yeah, loved it. 4 stars. I think that was actually the novella. So it's kind of, which for me, it's kind of shocking to like a novella, because I really don't really like novellas. Even if it's part of a fantasy series, usually skip over them. I think the Akatar one is the one I actually read, and again, that was like a 3 star. So I don't kind of want to be blah about a book, even if it's so fun. Maybe it's a 3 star. I kind of want to just get to the next one. I'm impatient, I guess. But yeah, so that one's kind of like a spy kind of plot. It's kind of like a bonkers out there plot, but you know, as you can tell, I'm not giving you much detail on these ones, so it's been a while. But anyway, no, I don't think A Night to Surrender was a novella. Well, I'm memory disaster. Okay. Anywho. Alright, so the next one was House of Furies by Madeline Rowe. This one was definitely not what I thought. I thought it was a YA gothic romance. I was completely wrong. This was YA gothic horror. Really heavy on the gothic and the horror. I like gothic horror. but not this kind. It was 3 stars. I read that physically. I actually got like all 3. This is why I'm mad at myself. I actually had all 3 of those books, and I got 2 from Books A Million, and the first one I actually ordered from Amazon like a year ago, assuming, because I love gothic romance, that I would love it, and it was not gothic romance, and I should have known better. But I was not. That is a series I am DNFing. I did read this whole thing, but this whole book, but I am not continuing on. I just don't think it's for me. If you like thriller and horror books, I think you might like this, as like there was like hints and maybe there might have been a romance and maybe you just had to read on to the next ones, but it just, the first book wasn't solid enough for me to continue on, if that makes sense. But yeah, so that's all I would say about this book. Alright, next one is Once Upon a Winter's Eve. I think, yeah, this one was a novella, Second Chance. A Night to Surrender, I cannot speak. Okay, anyway, A Night to Surrender, I did not remember I did not put anything there, so that's how it is with me, apparently. But yes, Once Upon a Winter's Eve, that was a novella. I read that one at 4 stars as well, and that was a Libby audiobook. I listened to that way. That's how I read it, was the Libby audiobook. And then next is Bewitched by Laura Thalassa. This one I actually was given to me as part of a giveaway that I won on Instagram by Jen from the Book Refuge, which was really awesome. She also gave me some stickers and a Kindle holder. What's it called? A book sleeve that she actually made herself, and actually it fits the theme of the book. It had like moths and things on it. It's really, really pretty, and I really appreciate it. It's gorgeous. But yeah, and I actually like that one. That was 4 stars. Laura Thalassa has been a miss for me in the past. I did not like the 4 Horsemen series. I read the first one, Pestilence, and I actually bought the first book and then I unhauled it. So this is why I've been checking out things from the libraries before I've been buying them. But I'm still buying stuff, going thrift shopping. But it's historical romance. That's okay. Okay, anyway. But yeah, it was fun. This one kind of follows it's an urban fantasy, paranormal kind of romance where it follows a witch who kind of, because of the type of magic, it's always a cost to the magic, and her cost, unfortunately, is that she's losing her memory. And she accidentally lets loose as some kind of like ancient god kind of thing. So it kind of has like the Mummy kind of vibes for that. And who claims that she is her long lost wife that actually is the one who imprisoned him. The only main drawback was there was a lot of repetitiveness because of the fact she lost her memory. So you would have like the same conversation again. So that was kind of annoying. So I do want to continue on, and I'm hoping the second book kind of evolves a little bit more. And I think that the first one, why it was repetitive, because it kind of fit with the plot, because that's kind of her reality. But we'll see. It was spicy romance as well, so that was good. It was just a little weird with the main character and her. I don't know. I did like it, but it's just, there was something a little weird about it, but we'll continue on. It was still better than Pestilence for me, so we're good. Next was Say You Love Me by Johanna Lindsey. This was part of the Johanna Lindsey read-along that I'm co-hosting with April from Happily Ever April. I will link down that live down below. This one was unfortunately a 2-star. And this was a reread for me, because I read this one probably about a decade ago. Probably a little more, unfortunately, in high school, college. Don't ask me what my age is, I don't know. This is book 5 in Mallory Anderson series, and I rated it 2 stars. I think we both kind of came to consensus that it was the narrator. The narrator was god-awful. Like, just awful. It was like nails on a chalkboard because of the way that they were, of the man just mimicking, it felt like mocking. I think that's why it irritated me. It's like mocking like the women's characters and like how they're doing the voices. So I think that's kind of why I didn't enjoy this one. But I think what I'm gonna do is eventually someday I'll go back and actually read it physically. I think the problem is if I don't, I'm hoping that I find it at like a library sale, and that way I can own it physically and read it physically then. But yeah, I think the problem is in this instance, is I needed to read it physically, because it became very villainous, mustache twirly at the end. It kind of felt like a weird shift into what the book was initially there. And I think also me and April also, I think, were aligned on it. Felt like it didn't really focus on their relationship a little bit. Like, it felt kind of like, I don't know if Jeremy didn't like deserve her or something still. I don't know. It was kind of weird. It was just totally forgetting about her and everything. So I don't know. I think maybe we'll see what I think when I do a reread eventually. So, but yeah, for this time it was kind of a bummer because I know I really liked it years ago, and yeah, so this is why I'm under the opinion that if you don't like a book, an audiobook, you probably need to read it physically. This is the prime example, at least from in my experiences, as I'm getting more into audiobooks, is I need to read it physically if I'm not liking where it's going, because it's probably the narrator most of the time, unfortunately. Next is I read an anthology. I don't think I read an historical romance anthology, and I usually don't. But this one I've heard from Jess from Peace Love Books a lot. So it's how long this has been on my TBR. I think she mentioned it like a couple of years ago, and I'm just now getting to it. But this is the first one in the anthology series. It's Duke I'd Like to F, and it's been a collaboration of a bunch of different authors. Most of them are historical romance ones, and Sierra Simone is one of them that's in there. But she has written, I guess, historical romance, but she's mainly known for her contemporaries. And I rated this a 4-star. There was a few stories I DNF'd or I went to the next story. I just couldn't connect with her writing, but I have to say, Sierra Simone needs to write more historicals. And I know she has one that's kind of like Jane Eyre inspired novellas, and I'll put like a picture of that one on there, but she needs to write more historical romance. That's all I have to say. And I know Johanna Shoup had one on there as well, so I really enjoyed that one as well. So they just need to write more historical romance. That's all I have to say. All right. Next one is Devil's Bride. I read this as part of a book club. This is by Stephanie Lawrence. I do want to get the physical book of this one as well, but this is part of her kind of similar to Johanna Lindsey. Like, this is the book one of her very popular long-standing series that has like a bunch of books in it. I can't even think of the name right now. But I read that. I rated that one a 4-star. And I read that as an ebook and an audiobook via Libby. Yeah, I really liked it. It was more of like a darker romance a little bit. I do have to say that the reason why I was on a 5-star is the pacing started feeling off. I want to say 3/4 of the way, and it became glaringly obvious who the bad guy was, because this one felt like a more like a romantic suspense noir historical romance. But yeah, and it really, really annoyed me that the hero refused to say I love you to the main character. So yeah, never said it once. Really annoying. Okay. All right. And then next I read Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Obviously, I mean, 5-star, man. I'm like, I know this has been the division divided, but oh my gosh, I loved it. And I am not ashamed. I loved it. It was everything I wanted and expected, and like, not really expected, but I would say wanted in that kind of a fantasy romance. It's a new adult, it's a new release from Entangled Publishing, their imprint of Red Tower Books. And I mean, everyone, you probably have heard about it already, but that was 5 stars, I have to say. It's just dragons, it's a new adult fantasy, so it felt like YA with spice. I loved it. I really did. So I'm really looking forward to Iron Flame. I already have it pre-ordered. That's coming out in November. So yeah, I don't want to say any much more about it because I think everything has been said, but I loved it and I can't wait to read it more. So yes. All right, and then 2 more left. I have Toxic by Maggie Cole. Talking about 5-star and then down to 2-star. So I was hoping that this author would be for me. So this is a mafia, and it's contemporary, dark romance. I didn't like it. I don't know if this author's for me. This is like, I don't think she's for me. I did win a giveaway from Instagram from her for her newest series, one of her newest series, the Auction Duet, and I kind of stopped soft DNF the second one, so I don't even know if I'm gonna pick it up, but I have it signed by her, and I'm really, really lucky and thankful that I have those books. I just don't know if she's for me, so we'll see. I might try and give, you know, another chance for a different book. So if you have a book by her that you love, I just don't know if her writing style, and I think part of it is I understand she does like these paragraphs in her books. It's how the dialogue, and it makes you read faster, but I don't know, it's not a writing style that fits for me or works for me, so I don't know. I think part of it also, it just feels one-dimensional. It feels like it's just more about getting to the smut than it is about anything else. And it just feels obvious to me on that way. So, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, but I might give her another chance, but we'll see. As you know, I'm already kind of been veering away from contemporary romances. I went there the past 2 years on like I went down like the rabbit hole and really got into like a contemporary romance era, because this opened up a whole new world for me after 10 years of 50 Shades Grey. I didn't realize that there's actually other things about 50 Shades Grey-esque that are even better. So it kind of was great to rediscover that genre, but I think I'm coming back to my roots. What I love about romance is historical romance and fantasy romance. So those are really my prime cozy genres that I love, and so that's kind of like where I'm back into that era now. It's my historical romance, number one, and then number two, getting back to my paranormal fantasy romance. So we'll see. I think we'll all kind of go through those stages as well. We just go through different reading ones, but I think historical romance is probably definitely going to be here to stay, that's for sure. It's just something to always mix up the reading a little bit, feel a little fun and light and happy and giddy. Alright, and last I have A Week to Be Wicked by Tessa Dare. That was 5 stars. That was Colin and Minerva, and that's what I love about that read along was Tessa Dare has now been firmly planted as one of my very favorite authors in historical romance, and she's a new to me author that I read, as I mentioned, the Duke series or the Wallflower Wager series. I can't remember what it's called, but she's a new author, favorite author of mine, really, and I can't wait for her to read more, and I definitely want to read more into her backlist. I think I read her very first novel. I've read that 3 series there. So all these Avon books I've read except for a couple of the novellas. So it's so great to kind of have a backlist pretty much done. I do have other books by her in her backlist that I want to read, but so far it's just been great, and I look forward to reading more books by her. And I hope I can find more books by her in the library sales, because you know she's one of those that are hard to find because everybody doesn't want to give her up. So just like Lisa Kleypas. Alright, so that is it. If you have made it to the end of this video, I applaud you. This is a very long video of me rambling on, but if you made it this far, please don't forget to put let's do a purple heart on the bottom of this in the comments if you made it this far and don't want to comment anything and just want to say, hey, yeah, you were here. But yeah, thanks for watching. I will put all my links to my Goodreads, my Instagram, and my Amazon wish list down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.